Welcome back to Charm and Chaos, and happy Tuesday, everyone. Wednesday for when this is actually airing. I actually naively thought things were going to be slowing down in my life, but I also cannot complain at all because I feel like whenever things are slow, I'm very restless and I'm like, listen, when can things pick back up? Like, I love to weirdly be exhausted, which is probably like a kind of, I don't know if this is the word I want to use, but it's the word that's coming up for me in the moment, but kind of like a program type of response to that feeling, because being exhausted is what's giving me the idea that things are happening and things are going. But I feel like I equate that to two different things. First, I equate that to, I grew up dancing, primarily ballet, tap, jazz. As I got, further into it, lyrical, modern, very, very minimal hip hop. I really didn't do hip hop until college, but I was a competitive dancer, and it's just a shame that I lived where I lived, but I guess in this life, I just wasn't meant to go on and be prima ballerina. And I don't mean like lived where I lived within my area, but I just mean I grew up in Colorado Springs, and it's not like, that's a breeding ground for professional dancers. So I was a competitive dancer, but it wasn't necessarily like Dance Moms level, although I honestly don't know how realistic that is. Like, for us, we were planning out like maybe a handful of competitions a year, and I know that definitely people went to more than that. I guess I don't know if, and I'm sure they were, but if it was like the norm to go to one every weekend. But honestly, I would have loved it. Like, and my mom can attest to this, like, I'm not the type that would have been like, oh, but I like want to go hang out with my friends and I want to do this, like, every once in a while. But honestly, like, at that time, I had friends at school and I had best friends at school, but like my best friends danced with me. So like, it truly would have been having a sleepover with my friends every weekend anyway. And I just love to be like, go, go, go. Honestly, she was probably like, how in the world was like this what I manifested as a child? Because not that she's not, I mean, I get my drive from her 1000%, but she can always take time to appreciate the time off that she has. And I'm sure that attributes to being a mom and at times a single mom to 4 kids. So she's like, bitch, I have 5 seconds to breathe. Can we not fill them up with space? But what's funny is it kind of like always started like, I think like with her, she never gave me a hard time. And I know that there were times when she would be like, can we just chill? Like, can we just chill? Which as an adult now I understand. But what's funny is like, I think she would recognize it in a way that gave me permission and feel good about being that way, because that is just how I am. And it's funny because it's kind of like carried into work now, where I like don't even realize, because since I've like gone through solid core like coaching and training, my like, I guess it's not like technically my boss, but in property management, sometimes, a lot of the times, the people or the company that's managing your complex may not be who owns it. So basically, one of the people that works for the company that owns our property and like our direct contact for that company, we have a bi-weekly call, but she was in Europe for like the last couple weeks visiting her daughter. And it's funny because when I know she knew I was like going to be trying out for solid core before she left, but when she came back, she was asking like on our call, just, you know, how's everyone been, like how, like what's everyone kind of been up to, and we were talking, and I was like, oh well, I went through my training, like the month kind of like flew by, all this. And she's like, yeah, you know, like once you get that down, you're gonna have like 5 seconds to spare, and like what are you gonna fill it with, like a third job, like. And she's like joking, but I was like, gosh, I actually, you know, I'm doing what I need to do and really authentically putting myself out there, because my God, I feel like if you were to put it in perspective of like if she, like it's like she's not directly my boss with my company, but like at the same time they kind of are over our company. So say we were all one, it would be like my like boss's boss's boss probably is like where she would fall. So the fact that I am being this seen by, and I don't mean that in a like level way of, you know, anyone being above or like better, but just more so the fact that typically when it goes up that high, you're probably not talking and seeing these people, especially on that level. Like when you are seeing them, it's probably more so just strictly on that work level. So the fact that it is truly known that I can't take 5 seconds to relax. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking in my head, where was I, like what led me there? And I'm getting so good at bringing myself back around to the point. So with dance, I would go to school, and then like straight after school, I would go to dance, and I would dance until probably like 8-9 o'clock at night. There was like, as I got further up into ballet, I think there were some nights where we maybe went till like, I'm like 9:30, maybe 9. Maybe just as a kid, like it seemed like it was later. But either way, like there were times when I was like getting home, like eating dinner and showering and getting bed by like 10. And I loved it. Like there is nothing that I love more than like feeling exhaustion. Am I a masochist? Have I asked this before? I can't remember if I've asked this on the pod before, or if it's just because I ask myself this at least twice a day. But like taking a steaming hot shower, getting into like a maid, especially like if you just wash your sheets, but either way, like you, like your bed is made, you're like peeling back those covers, like sliding into crisp sheets, and your body just feels like, I feel like I've literally had this conversation on the pod before. Like probably when I was talking about solid core. You guys are like, can you like get some new content? Anyway, I love it. It's like an obsession. I feel so good, especially when I'm like sore. Ugh, I definitely have talked about this. I think I need to track how many times each episode I say I've already talked about this, or like, have I talked about this, or I've definitely talked about this, because I sound like a broken record. Anyway, with that, the second time that I felt like that in my life was when I was going to high school full time and working at Starbucks, like basically full time. I don't think I was 40 hours, but I was definitely at least 30. And that is not because like I was forced to work that much. I chose that. Like before, you know, it's like, well, why did you have to work that much? And I know that people work more than that, but I did not have to work that much. It was just like, when I decide to do something, I'm not doing it half-assed. So I'm like, oh, you want to give me an 8-hour shift after school? Please. You want me to work both Saturday and Sunday? Yes. But I also really loved my job. Like, I've definitely talked about this. My God, this could be a drinking game. You guys would be obliterated. Like where me forgets what I actually talked about. Well, anyway, I really liked my job, and I really liked the people that I worked with, and I loved that like at the end of a shift, because that's what I was saying. When I started working at Starbucks, it was 2012, I think, like the summer of 2012. My mom's like, oh my gosh, you finally got a fact right. And that is because I was, 17 when I'm talking about this. But yeah, so it was like the summer of 2012. And it was not easy to get a job at Starbucks. Like, I feel like now, Starbucks has gone so downhill. It's gone so downhill. It, like, actually makes me sad. Just because it was such a, like, staple in my life. My mom and I, like, there was times when we would be driving and we'd be like, oh, there's a Starbucks. Like, should we get a coffee? And then all of a sudden it was like, skirt. Like, we knew. It was just, like, such a good bonding moment. Such a, like, special treat. And now it's just the quality of it's gone so downhill. But it was really hard to get a job there. Like, the only reason I got the job there was because my mom knew a manager of a store, but, like, she wasn't hiring. And then the manager that ended up hiring me ended up, like, walking in to pick up, extra syrup or whatever because they were out. And she introduced me. I set up the interview. And then, like, even with me being under 18, I did the interview, and then, like, my mom had to come and also meet with him, right, Mom? You went in person, and he had to, like, say, hey, you need to, like, write me a note saying that, like, she can work these shifts because technically they were, like, out of hours for a minor, and it's like I was already going to be 18 in, like, not that long, like, less than half a year or whatever. So, and, like, let me tell you, I felt so cool. Like, for people listening that, like, when Starbucks was cool and when it was, like, not easy, like, there was no, like, these job, like, where you would, like, show up as a group and, like, interview. It was, like, a coveted thing. Like, you had to, like, know someone. You had to, like, it was a thing. It wasn't so easy. You're like, we get it. Was it a thing? Was it hard? At least for me, it was difficult. So I really enjoyed my coworkers and I really enjoyed the job. Like, I did not mind going, like, I would bring it up as part of conversations. Like, oh, I have to go to work after this. Like, where you say Starbucks. I did not even remotely work at a Starbucks close to where my school was. And, like, people would come, I feel like, just to see if I actually worked there. Me thinking people are thinking way more about me than they are. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. In my own little delusional mind. But I digress. Oh, also, it was my little sister Nikki's birthday on August 2nd. She's a Leo. And for everyone out there that hates on Leos, fuck you. Because they're actually so cool. And I think in my next life, I need to come back as a Leo. Because I feel like people have this perception. How do we go from, like, Starbucks to, like, an in-depth, like, expose on my opinion on Leos? That was, like, a really quick, I don't know. I mean, like, my thought process of how I got there, you're like, we don't care, was that I was saying that people, like, thought, like, more about me, I thought people thought about me more than they actually did. And then I kind of, like, thought about that's how Leos are perceived, and then that went to, like, oh, it was just my little sister's birthday and she's a Leo. So my little sister Nikki, because I often talk about Riley, but Riley's a December baby like me. She's a Sag and I'm a Cap, but we're still December's babies. But yeah, Nikki's a Leo, and the thing about a Leo is I feel like they're always made to be, like, self-absorbed or self-obsessed, which, as they fucking should be, as everyone should be. But what's funny about Leos is they're actually, like, they want my perception as growing up with a Leo for, like, my whole life. Just, like, I feel like I have a pretty good perception outside of actually being one. But yeah, I feel like Leos more so, like, they want you to care and appreciate about things that they're passionate about, but in turn they will give you that back 10 toes down. Like, my sister, I feel like she's kind of like a really understated Leo. So I know, like, she has, like, a beautiful voice. I don't know how, like, I always say I'm not even tone deaf because I can hear how bad I sound. Like, it is no mystery. But, like, my sister has such a beautiful voice, and she's so musically gifted. Like, she's one of those that can literally pick up an instrument, not even like know how to play it, teach yourself how to play it, then hear a song, play that song back, like on it's like, I think it's so mind-boggling to me because the only musicality that I have is being able to count out an 8 count, okay, Texas, count out an 8 count because of dance, but outside of that, no. And she just like and then like what's so unfair about her is then like I don't know if it was like middle school that she started and then she played in high school, or like if it was just high school, but then on the other side she like picks up a damn tennis racket for the first time one day and then like is just amazing. So it's not even like, oh, she's like just athletic or like just musical or whatever. No. Oh, can she also draw? Yes. Like, bitch, save some talents for the rest of us. Like, okay, I was good at calculus, like, boring. Anyway, I love Leos. They're near and dear to my heart, and that is my perception on them. So anyone that comes for them should shut the fuck up, except for maybe male Leos. Jury's still out on you, but the females, love. And like I was saying, like whatever you're about, like they will be there 1000% to support you. Honestly, like whether you actually are in tune and know that what they're sharing with you is like a very personal and intimate thing, and that's why they're sharing it, because they don't share it with everyone. But like what they're sharing with you is very important to them. Like even if you don't pick up on that, like if they care about you, they're still going to be 1000% supportive about whatever you are passionate about. And that is something that I love about my sister, and I love it because you just know, like my nephew is his like confidence level is through the roof, and it's like as it should be, but you also know that like he is thriving in an environment where like my sister and brother-in-law are just like, we're making it known you're the shit, like still act with kindness and acknowledge that like other people are the shit too, but like don't forget that you like so are you. And he's like, duh, like hello, first grandson, eldest, whatever, like we're here for it. He's so cute. I miss him. I miss them all. I'm like really, I think, you know, life just lives, and you get so bad at communicating with people. And I don't know if this happens to anyone else, because I really need to call my grandparents. Like I think about it every day, like at least once a day I think about it, because I lived with my grandparents in college because I went to college in the same city that they live in. And so they let me stay there so that I didn't have to worry about like rent and living expenses like that. But you like start, like I remember at a certain time when I held people to such an insane standard of like communication. And really the only person I would say at this point I could rightfully hold that to is my husband, because we live together and we see each other every day. But you just like get to a point where by the time I think like, oh, I should like call my grandparents, I should like text my mom, or like answer this person that texts me or whatever, I either want to do nothing but sit in silence. Like, you know, it's bad when you get in the car and all you want to do is sit in silence as you drive, or I'm thinking about it in the middle of the night and homies aren't up. Holden might be up. Holden's a good late night talker, as we saw last week or last episode on the pod. But yeah, like when you just like get to the point where you're so busy, and so is everyone else. It's not like I'm sitting up here like cruising and going and whatever, and everyone else is like sitting there like twiddling their thumbs. No, like my mom is doing like her main job and then 5 million side hustles. Like, my sister doing her music. She's such a badass. She works also with my stepdad and helps pour concrete. So again, another talent that she just whips out. Also has my nephew. Like, my brother-in-law is in real estate and also is like, I kind of hate when people do this. Like, my brother-in-law, he's such an amazing dad. And I kind of hate that. Not for him. He should be. But like, I feel like just sometimes we praise like dads so much for doing what they should do. But then it's like women is like the praise for a dad is like the expectations of a mom. And so it's like the minute someone like tries to catch a mom being a human, it's like ridicule. But I digress. That's another thing, one of those things, like I said on the last pod, I actually don't digress, but for the sake of the pod, I digress. Because don't get me started. It's so funny because, oh my God, we are really ADHD today, aren't we? It's so funny because a resident came in, like, as we were closing today, and I don't know how we, like, got talking about it, but I literally don't know how we got talking about it. Probably because Natalia was there and she's like really into like if you don't know, she's from Russia and then she's also like really into history, and they got talking about like war. Honestly, I like was zoned out, but then they were saying how like basically they were old enough to not be drafted, but like I wasn't old enough to be drafted, and I could still be drafted, and I was like, I thought that was like the age of 26. Anyway, like we get back around to it and they're like, yeah, 26. Like, but then I was like, yeah, because I feel like you're like here in America like waiting to hit 26 so that like I'm sure that they could pull something where we could be drafted at any time, but like in the past it's like you want to hit past 26, is it 26, so that like you can't be drafted. And then I was saying like especially a male, because like correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a history person, I will proudly say it. Like, if I ever sound ignorant, I will fully admit it, because history was just never like there's certain parts of history that yes, everyone should educate themselves on, but I'm just purely convinced that if women ruled the world, we would solve things over dirty martinis and Caesar salad and truffle fries. I mean, it's like, yeah, maybe we would like shed some tears or yell across the table or whatever, but at the end of the day, I feel like the amount of war would go down. I just think it would go down. My personal opinion. And also, like, obviously some lightheartedness in that. But, yeah, so then I was, like, saying about, like, males. And then I was, like, it's, like, one of, like, the few things that males have to deal with that, like, would suck for them before it would suck for women. And then he was kind of like, oh, well, like, what? Oh, he was like equality for all or something, like equally, like men and women should have to go to war. And I was like, okay, well then if men and women should equally have to go to war, then we should be equal across all fields, like across everything. And he's like, well, like, what are some examples? Actually, I'm like very curious. And I'm like, listen, you're a resident. This is like not the conversation or whatever to bring up with me. And I was like, honestly, I don't even know how to answer that or start to dive into that or whatever. So, and then I feel like he was like catching my drift, so he just kept it moving on. But yeah, and then my other brother, well, two of my brothers are in the military, so like we support the troops. I'm just like, I was very excited to, I think, get out of the age group, because they were like making me question myself, where I don't think at this point I could be drafted, or I guess if I could, I'm not going to be in like the first group of picks, because that going to war would be like, I honestly can't imagine anything worse. Like, your girl was not meant for the military. So I like 1000%. My family's got like a long history of it. But yeah, so two of my brothers in the military, and then one of my brothers, Kyle, who's been on before, and then Riley, both in property management, just like me. And then my brother, Kevin, who just basically works at a job where he drops his till or cash register drawer every other week. No, he's in food service, but it's so funny because he's so like, there's like so many ways in which like I can relate to each one of my siblings. Like there's so many ways where like we're all very different. Except for Riley, we have way less differences than, we have way more similarities, not many differences. But my brother, that's what I was gonna say. My brother Kevin and I, like, I feel like one of our similarities, like when I am at work, like I always have our cameras up, and it's not really for the purpose of being nosy. It's usually because I can't see out like how my desk is in my office. Like I can't see if there's people out there. So if leasing is not there because they're on a tour or something, I can't see if someone comes in. So I usually have it up for that purpose. But, you know, sometimes it's like we get nosy and like we have to like watch certain situations back, and then you see other certain situations that pop up when you're looking for something and whatever. And like you get nosy sometimes and it's entertaining. But my brother is funny because like he works in the food service. And so sometimes like funny things will happen at his restaurant and he'll like send us funny videos of it. And he sent us like either 2 or 3 videos of like his like we always called them tills, but like cash register drawers like falling and the money and coins going everywhere. And he sent us like a picture today of like our basically brother at this point, but like his coworker and he lives with my sister and my brother-in-law. Like he dropped it went all over, and my brother was kind of like, here it is, except for this time it wasn't my fault. So that honestly, at this point, I don't know how I got into everyone's profession. That zero clue how I got into. So I'm not even going to try to find my way back. Oh, you know what? I feel like my mom will be so proud of me because she sent me word of the week. We have 2, and I remembered to take a picture of it. You know what I realized? This is one thing I was going to say. Did I already start saying this, or did we even get to this? I feel like this is how I started the podcast, and I don't know if I said it and then just like skirted past it, or I don't know if I never actually said it. I just said it in my head. But I feel like I need to start using my iPad like more to its fullest ability. Like I have like a full iPad, Apple Pencil, keyboard, like all of the things, and I just don't feel like I use it to its like fullest capacity. And I really want it to be like my ride or die planner that like I can't live without, and it, you know, just everything's organized and stuff. But I think just getting it started and really like finding a system is what I really struggle with. But to start out, iPad kid. I really was not an iPad kid. Okay, so we have 2 words. I'm actually going to say like the second one that she sent because I feel like it came from either a podcast like I feel like it was either inspired by a podcast episode, or it is like something her and I talked about, but eloquent. So beautifully and persuasively expressed, which honestly I love the like persuasively expressed in addition to the beautifully. So cute. Love that. The other one is, she's rude for sending me something that's hard to sound out. And there's even, okay, eponymous. Is it eponymous or eponymous? It's EPONYMOS. Am I dumb? Anyway, means a person, place, or thing gives its name to something else or title, shares the same name as its subject, such as Romeo in the play Romeo and Juliet. Oh, so it's like, is it almost like, could you say like, okay, like Felicity, like the show Felicity, like her name is Felicity, but also the show is Felicity, or even like would Gilmore Girls or Schitt's Creek also play into that? Because even though it's not like the first name and it's not like the full name, it's like their last name is part of that. Is that what that means? So it's either eponymous or eponymous. Honestly, the reason why I think it's eponymous because these E's are upside down and I've never seen that before, but because it's like like for sounding it out purposes, I mean, but because it's like upside down EPAN, upside down EM, upside down ES, because the Y and the OU are supposed to be like then I'm assuming the first one, so eponymous. Tell me if that's right, mother. Did you think of that word because because when you sent this to me, I don't know if I had already talked about Gilmore Girls and Schitt's Creek or not, or if that was on this last episode with Holden. Either way, eponymous and eloquent are the words. I actually am going to add a third word because, okay, wait, I know what it means because I already looked it up, but like now that I'm on the pod, I feel like I need to make it all official and shit. But I am like, see, I have like certain like sleep shows. So when I go to sleep, I really need to like get out of this habit and stop. But I like fall asleep to a show. A lot of times it's Schitt's Creek. But you know, sometimes like I've seen that and you know, I like need something different to not watch as I go to sleep. So right now I'm in the mood for Gilmore Girls. So because sometimes it's like I also want to like watch them in real time. So I can put it on because I know what's happening, but when I wake up, I can either like go back to the episode that I remember ending on, or honestly, I could just pick up from where I left off because I've seen it so many times that like it really doesn't matter. But it made me think as I was watching it when, if you've watched Gilmore Girls in like the first season where Rory goes golfing with Richard, her grandpa, and at the club, several people reference this other member as being the most odious woman alive. And I was like, odious? Like, what is odious? Because I feel like I should be using it more. Well, it's an adjective that means hateful, despicable, or causing strong dislike and disgust. It describes a person, action, or thing that deserves to be hated or is extremely unpleasant. And honestly, I just feel like that is definitely a word that people were using in the early 2000s. So I'm happy with it. Speaking of which, we can end off on any TV shows that I'm watching. But honestly, I'm like... Oh my gosh, actually, I can't believe I almost forgot. So, I feel like TV is like a little bit lacking right now. Like, we're in a little bit of a dry spell. I feel like I'm starting to get to the point where I'm rewatching things. But I did binge over the weekend House of Stassi. And if you don't know, Stassi was a character, not a character. She was a person on Vanderpump Rules. And now she has her own, like, I don't want to say spin-off show because it's really not a spin-off show. At this point, it's just like her own show. But she has her own show now on Hulu. And it's called House of Stassi because she's obsessed with Game of Thrones. So, like, I'm assuming with the houses and then like House of Dragon, like all of this, that's where she got House of Stassi. But I binged that over this weekend. And you know, it's so funny because I think you could like watch something like that and like it showed some of her like marital things that she's dealing with. And it's funny because in it she struggles so much with like being selfish and, you know, having like a hard time because like she is being selfish to what she has going on and what she has to do. And I feel like that's probably something that's like not talked about enough with like couples. It's not personally something I deal with in my relationship just because really everything that we do together, so nothing professionally or personally feels separate, like not in an unhealthy way, but it's very much like connected. But I could see how that would be a thing, so I felt like it was an interesting watch. It also showed like a lot of family dynamic, and they say it, so it's like I'm not being perceptive at all. I almost said perceptive at all by saying this, but what I think was very unique about the show, because it is a reality show, they break the fourth wall a lot and like in the best way. Honestly, I feel like the theme of the show should be breaking the fourth wall in the best way. Like, it was just done in a way that like made it actually feel so real. Like, you know, you may love a reality show and you may catch yourself like as you're watching, like looking up like, is their show scripted? Because is it actually like this dynamic and these relationships and whatever? This one, you don't have to question, especially if you know who they were before they have this show. But like, also with them doing that, it just made it like very, very, very honest and real. So I really hope it does well, because I would love to see a second and beyond season. I do, this sounds like horrible to say, but I do want to watch like that Idaho murders documentary, but I really love documentaries. And because of that, I like really have to be in the mood to watch them. And there's different levels of like documentaries, you know, like sometimes there's like more lighthearted docu-series like America's Sweethearts with the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, or like I talked about it before, but like Cat's Eye, like those are kind of like more lighthearted, but I still have to be like in the specific mood for them. But then when there's like more of an intense like murder or dramatized documentary or docu-series, like I also have to be in the mood for that. So I'm just like not in the mood, I guess, to watch murder right at the moment, but I do want something new. So I'm hoping that, like, what I loved about House of Stassi is it just popped up. Like, it was like I didn't even know it was like coming out, and then all of a sudden, like, it was like, oh, it's gonna be out July 29th, and I'm like, oh, well, that's like whatever date. So that was good. And I have my first coaching training class at Solid Core this Thursday. So I'm really, really nervous, because not only is it going to be my first 50-minute class, but it's at 5 a.m. So I'm like, is my brain going to be working? And also right now there's only 2 people signed up, because one, my class is capped at like a certain amount of people that can sign up. But also it's like 5 in the morning. So, you know, it's already hard for people to get up and take class that early. Especially because, you know, some people won't take a coaching training because they want like a seasoned coach, which I totally get. But I'm very nervous for that. Like, it's nice that it's going to be the first thing out of the way, but it also is nerve-wracking that I'm going to have to like get up and use my brain already at 5 a.m. And I think that's really it. I feel like if you even get this far, I feel like I talked about like more maybe controversial things on the pod today than I normally do. And I feel like I was a little like, I feel like with those like topics and situations, like I try to like tread lightly, because, you know, there are multiple sides to things, and you know, you don't ever want to, it's always like a double-edged sword, because I do feel like I can land pretty seriously sometimes on like one side of things, and then other times like I can see both sides. But I think as I continue to film the pod and like get my feet wet and everything with, you know, talking and posting something that's going to go live for people to listen to and review and judge and all of that, I think at this point in time, try to be more careful with how I feel. And I don't, you know, I would like to like somewhat break out of that as we go forward, while still, you know, it's not my goal to be like a controversial podcast. Like, this podcast is for like relief, like feeling like you're gabbing with a girlfriend after a tough day of work, week of work, situation, like hanging out on the weekend, whatever. So, you know, it's like why I don't really try to like focus on those things. But, you know, sometimes they just come up, and it's probably like, whenever I talk about them, it's probably ultimately clear where I stand. But, you know, I do also just, honestly, I really want to like, I guess, make clear I have firm beliefs, and it doesn't always mean it's like on one side of thing, but like also probably leans more to one than the other, as I feel like we mostly all are. But it is like my goal to really not make this a place where things like that are a common focus. I really just want to be somewhere where people can turn it on and feel like they know they can start to like unwind, let their guard down, like, you know, just be. Just be. So with that, we're going to end it off here. I don't know. I feel like we're a little earlier ending off than I would normally like to do, but I started like way later than I should have. So it's already like 11 o'clock and I need to like get this edited and scheduled to post for the morning. So with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful night, a wonderful rest of your week. I will tune in with you guys Friday night, but for you guys Saturday, and cheers to that.